Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I want to be talking about a report that recently came out from Windhorst regarding that the Milwaukee Bucks are shopping Khris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Pat Connaughton. And that should be obvious. I think Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, it's more Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton, I think, are being shopped more because of to create room within the second tax or to get below the second tax apron, so then they can make a bigger move. Now, Khris Middleton, the reason why they're trading or shopping him is this guy, out of loyalty, I think they gave him 18 months to work with Dame, with Giannis, and get back to health, full health. However, that didn't help him. And I really feel bad for the guy, as GM Jon Horst has constantly prioritized championship contention, and they've really pulled this season together. However, their struggles recently against some of the top teams in the Eastern Conference and the limitations imposed by the NBA's second apron have forced them to explore these significant roster changes. The availability of key players like Khris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Pat Connaughton signals a potential shift in the team's core. Middleton, a key player in their 2021 championship run, has seen his health and his role as a result diminish this year. While he's still valuable as a veteran and a mentor, his declining production and his $30+ million contract make him a potential trade asset as he becomes an expiring contract after the season. Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton are both other key role players from that championship team, are fan favorites who are able to provide energy and scoring off the bench. Bobby Portis being a guy who, for the last couple seasons until this year, was a fixture in the Sixth Man of the Year race. Now, trading Pat Connaughton will allow them to dip below the second apron, which would then allow them to package Bobby Portis and Khris Middleton to have enough salary to trade for a player of, for example, Zach LaVine, CJ McCollum, Jeremy Grant, Jimmy Butler. Now, the Bucks do lack limited future draft capital, particularly the lack of first-round picks, which restricts their flexibility. Furthermore, navigating the intricacies of the second apron requires the cap gymnastic solutions to balance the salary and avoid further luxury tax penalties. We know that the Bucks have pursued Zach LaVine. We talked about it in another video, which they would have to move Pat Connaughton to a third team to help, let's say, the Raptors, and would then send Middleton, Portis to the Bulls for Zach LaVine. And a Jimmy Butler trade seems unlikely, but a similar trade structure for Jimmy or Bradley Beal. We've heard Bradley Beal has not made it known or said that he would go to Milwaukee. Basically, the connection's non-existent. I think the Bucks could explore multiple smaller trades to acquire complementary pieces, as this approach allows them to address specific needs such as improving their bench depth or adding a defensive stopper. Trading for younger players or players on expiring deals allow them to rejuvenate the roster and provides long-term flexibility, as ultimately all trade decisions are considering Giannis and Dame's long-term future in Milwaukee. They need to ensure that any moves made will enhance the chances of competing for a championship this season and moving forward, to keep Giannis engaged and motivated in Milwaukee, as the Bucks are obviously in a critical juncture in the franchise's history. The decisions they make will profoundly impact the short-term and long-term ramifications of the franchise's trajectory, as trading players is never easy, with the potential rewards being making a more competitive roster, renewing a championship push, and hoping that it all will work out. I think the biggest thing is that they are trying to find ways to become a better team without messing up what they have here. And as I said it how are you going to find someone better than Khris Middleton, not Khris Middleton, but Zach LaVine or Jimmy Butler or Bradley Beal? The only other contracts, are you going to find a team that, if you trade for example, you split up those three players and you bring in a Cam Johnson and who else could be on the market? Maybe a Matisse Thybulle, and you're somehow signed Patrick Beverley. How would that really put you? I don't even think if you were able to bring Zach LaVine in, or you were able to bring Jimmy Butler, and now you got to worry about your bench. There's not enough guys in free agency to make up for the players you would lose. So I sit here and I get rather confused that I just feel like you guys would, I don't know. I think one person put it in a good way, that they basically dismantle the Bucks. People don't realize, but Bobby is a starter playing off the bench, and the only concern in terms of talent is Middleton's salary. He's got to push himself soon. The injury will become a mental thing if he doesn't. Somebody speaking from my own experience with a serious injury, ruptured Achilles. That guy just says, like, I think what he's basically saying is I agree with this. Bobby Portis is kind of too good of a player to trade. So the only two players that I could see due to salary and not playing up to the salary, Pat Connaughton's playing okay. It's just he's not the money they're paying him. They could play somebody else for similar production at a lower rate. So hence why you trade him. While Khris Middleton has been injured, he's not the same guy. He's not playing. You have $30 million plus going to waste right there. No offense to Khris. So you got to move on from it. That's where I agree with what the guy is saying, is that, like, trading Bobby is hard because you're depleting the bench. So now, how do you trade? If you do just salary dump Pat Connaughton to a team, take no salary back, and MarJon Beauchamp is the other player that you know is being shopped, can you package MarJon Beauchamp and Khris Middleton for the only other player that you could hypothetically, if you go look at salaries, as the combination of those two salaries is about, you'd want a $35 million player, because Khris Middleton right now is making, just to confirm it, I believe he's 31.6, and then MarJon's making, I believe, like 3 or 4 off the top of my head. So, like, you would trade for like a CJ McCollum, because you trade Pat Connaughton and you dump. So you just basically dump 3 players for CJ McCollum, and now you have Dame, CJ McCollum. Like, does that really raise your ceiling? To me, it doesn't. Another example would be like a Jeremy Grant or a Jordan Poole or Kyle Kuzma. Like, are any of those players really raising your ceiling, or are they good fits? Another example would, I think at that point maybe a Brandon Ingram, but I still think my point stands that I like the idea of a John Collins, but he's kind of been overpaid. I want to hear your thoughts.